So, what is the biggest mistake I've ever made in preparedness? Well, there's been a whole bunch of them. And trying to narrow it down to just one, the best I could do is get it down to two because it's my YouTube channel and I make the rules. I can do whatever I want. So, the biggest two mistakes that I've made are by far spending money on gear that I didn't necessarily need and spending too much time focusing on skills that should have not been such a high priority. Now, I'm going over this because if you're anything like me, I learn a whole lot better from mistakes than I do whenever something happened right. You always just seems to hit a little bit better and stick better with you whenever it's something that was wrong. So, anyway, I thought I'd share that with you guys. Let's break it down just a little bit. By the way, I'm Matt with Bam Ranch. If you get anything of value from this video, do me a favor, subscribe, comment, and hit the like button. It really does trigger the algorithm. And come on, man, don't be a hoe. Share the show. Help me grow this channel a little bit. So, money on gear. I will be the first to admit I have in my possession a grapple hook. Why in the world do I need a grapple hook? I don't. But I don't remember what I spent on it. It's been 15 years ago. I bet I spent $50 on that stupid thing. Am I ever going to use a grapple hook? No. But the Prepper magazine made it look really cool, so I bought one. Another one of these traps that we fall into is things like, all the survival doodads, fire starters. I have spent, oh my gosh, I bet I've spent hundreds of dollars on the next cool fire starter. When the truth is, you take the best fire starter in the world, and a Bic lighter will outperform it every single every day without fail. And let's be honest, I've always got a mini Bic in my pocket. I've got mini Bics in every bag that I own. I've got a handful of mini Bics and regular full-size Bics in every glove box of every vehicle. There's one in my chest rig, one in my plate carrier. Every single bag, even if it's not like a survival bag. What are the chances that I'm actually, not going to have access to that? I've got a bigger chance of losing that stupid fire starting rod than I do losing my lighters. And while we're on that subject of packs, spending all kinds of money on these tactical packs, right? If you want you a good bug out bag, go to like REI or some other camping store and get you a day pack. One that has the ability to like attach a sleeping bag to the bottom of it. It's going to be a whole lot more ergonomic. It's going to be more comfortable. It's going to be lighter weight. And it's going to do you just fine, right? All the gun stuff. I remember whenever the Springfield XD came out, I bought it because it was the new cool gun that all the gun magazines said I needed. Same thing whenever the XD9 came out. I'm sorry about this wind. I hope y'all can hear me okay. Then I narrowed it down and realized that I needed to find what worked and stick with what worked. Having to keep up with 14 kinds of ammo and different magazines and different holsters, all that was just a waste of time and a waste of money. Now, how about skills that I should have been practicing on? And I'm not saying that any of these skills are bad skills, but with that being said, they probably weren't near the priority that I needed. It took me a long time to decide that I needed some medical training. That's another thing with the gear. You're buying all these guns and everything, and you don't have a tourniquet or a good medical kit. I think the best ones on the market are from Refuge Medical, and they don't know who I am. They don't have any idea who I am, but they're expensive. But here's the news: any gun emergency is also a medical emergency. And who's to say that if you ever have to use your gun, you're going to be the only one doing the shooting? What if one of your family members gets hit? And even more so than that, I know that Refuge they do an after action report on the lives that were saved with their kits. They replace the components of the kit if you use it to save a life, and very very seldom is one of those same lives saved in a gunfight. Most of them are saved from a car accident, an accident with a skid steer, an occupational accident. And the most dangerous thing we do every day is get in the car and drive to work. So, spending money on a medical kit is absolutely essential. And, it's all fun and games to try to, get out there and shoot at 1,000 yards. The practical reason why I would need to make 1,000 yard hit and practice that skill as compared to why I would need some medical skills, kind of messing with our priorities there. I'm not saying that being able to shoot long range isn't important, but what else is probably more important that you've just completely ignored? And I say that because I've done it too. I completely ignored all these other skills because they weren't fun and cool. What about cooking from scratch? You spend all this time buying food to put up, but do you have the ability? Not even if you have the ability, are you able to take a live chicken and 3 hours later have made from scratch yeast rolls, like cheddar broccoli rice and baked chicken or shredded chicken soup of some kind? So learning to cook from scratch, because here's the news, most likely if the balloon goes up, you're going to be cooking from scratch. You're going to be eating rice. You're going to be eating beans. You're going to be eating things that aren't necessarily from the store, and being able to improvise where you don't need a recipe. That's the skill of cooking that comes in. So there's all these different skills. Another, lock picking. I used to spend all the time picking locks, and I think it's fun and I think it's a useful skill to have. While at the same time, I was learning that I completely skipped over skills like permaculture. How to design your land to be as productive as possible. Not just with growing food, but how do I keep the water that comes on my property to stay on my property? How do I use the landscaping, the design of how I laid out my land to decrease the temperature of my house in the summertime, yet provide a way to shelter it a little bit from the cold in the wintertime? So that's just a skill that you probably need to work on. It's something that took me a long time to be able to work on it. So take these things like I'm sure that you've got your own, but it was a really big deal for me whenever I quit spending money on useless crap and started buying the things that I needed to, and started learning skills that are actually going to help me. What about just the skill of how to earn money? Everybody says, the first thing in any of this preparedness world, first thing somebody says is, yeah, but the money won't matter. Shut up. When somebody says that, you need to immediately discount their credibility, because money does matter and money will matter. The guy who's worth $30 million, when the tornado comes and blows his roof off, he doesn't give a shit. It's just fine. It's any other day. He doesn't even care. Now, that's an extreme example, but let's say you've got 6 months worth of income set back for an emergency. And that's 6 months before you start investing for retirement. Your emergency fund, 6 months of income. On your way to work today, you blow out a tire and have a battery go dead in your truck. Writing a check solves that situation. If you're broke and don't have a dime to your name, that's almost a devastating situation. When you can't afford to get to work and earn the money to fix the thing that you rely on to get you back and forth to work. Yeah, so don't come at me with the money doesn't matter. And There's really no situation where having a big stack of money around doesn't make the bad stuff less bad. And that's a skill. And it's also a spending thing, buying other crap instead of buying time. Self-reliance is purchased of, missing a week of work. You've purchased, in a sense, a savings, a cash reserve. Get y'all out of the sun if I can. So think about that. What are the skills that you're ignoring? What's the stuff you've been buying that you probably didn't need? Because that stuff right there is really important, and I don't think it should be overlooked. And the sooner you figure out and fix that problem, the better off you're going to be. You don't even have to wait for the world to end to start living that good life. You take care of those things right now, and you start improving your life today. You don't have to wait for the world to end. Well, anyway, I appreciate you stopping by and watching the video. I'll post a link up in the corner to another one of my videos. And until next time, y'all be safe.